Hey friends, it's Durosai here. Hope you all are staying creative. So in this video, I'll be going over some techniques that I use to keep breakdowns and drops interesting. So in the context of house and techno at least, breakdowns are typically used for two things. One is to reduce the energy of the track, essentially to give people on the dance floor a little break. And two, it's to build tension into the next high energy section, aka when the kick and the drums come back in. Usually it's the low and the high frequencies that add the most energy to a track. That's why the kick bass, hi-hat, clap, all these kind of things are really powerful elements in a song. It's good to play around with these elements in your breakdown in order to add that tension. Another thing that I find is that when a breakdown is too predictable, it's just not that exciting. So it's nice to add some like elements of surprise here and there to throw people off. Pretty much like, when you think the drop's about to happen, but then it doesn't. It's just adding a lot more tension. And that just makes it just makes it hit harder when everything comes back into the track. So I have a track here that has two breakdowns, and I'll be walking you through the arrangement and showing you what I did and why I did it. But before I get into it, I just want to let you guys know that if you need any mixing or mastering services, private lessons, co-production, anything like that, you can reach me on Instagram at durosai or email me at djdurosai@gmail.com. And of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a little comment because all that stuff helps me with the YouTube algorithm. So now let's get into the video. Alright, so here's the track, and like I said, it has two breakdowns. So this one right here, which is a smaller one, and this is the longer one, and they have different arrangements. So I'll go over the small one first, and then we can move on to the other one. So I'll just play it from a little bit before the drop so you can get an idea of the track.
Pattern-oriented style of Indian drumming.
Okay, so now let me just break down that arrangement. So it starts, right before the breakdown, you have everything playing, all the drums, full bass line, clap, all that. So then, as soon as the breakdown starts, we lose most of the hats. We just have this open hi-hat, clap still remains, and then the bass right here, the kick and the bass are playing, but they're being high-passed. So that's like 4 bars. And then the next 4 bars, the kick then gets removed. If you see here, no kick. And then 4 bars later, removing the bass line and this open hi-hat. So then it's just a clap. So let's take a listen to that one more time. So what's happening here is essentially the beat is just being deconstructed. So rather than, be pretty jarring if it just went from everything to nothing. Not saying you can't do that, but I felt like for this track, it was just a little too much. So it's just slowly deconstructing the beat until we just remain with, eventually just gets to like this clap, and then, after this 2 bars, it's just pretty much nothing. It's like the clap, the pad is playing, and you have like these toms.
Style of Indian drumming.
And then after that, it goes into the kick and the bass, but there's no hats. So while this is I would say this is one of those like sort of fake drops, I would say, because they're still building the tension because you don't have these hi-hats. So the kick adds a nice amount of energy to the track, and then rather than dropping everything all at once, you're just building it up again for another like 8 bars. And then same thing actually a little bit before this kick happens, there's another little like small fake with this snare roll. So let me play that.
Groove oriented. Feel oriented.
So that snare roll is also providing a little bit of buildup that's that people might anticipate a kick drum or something to happen after it, and rather than a kick drum, it's just this little like bass note wherever it is. I can't find it. So you hear it, and then clap cuts out, and then it goes into that kick and bass. So I mean, all these little things are pretty much there to, like right here, it's to lower the energy. That's what this whole section's doing. Lower the energy, deconstructing that beat, and then adding some tension with some like those snare fills, and then also by just having the kick and the bass come in rather than having everything just coming at once. So yeah, that's what's happening in this drop. And of course that pad as well, that's actually really important. The pad over here, this is like carrying the break. Without the pad, I mean, it's just like empty space almost. But the pad is of course filling up. That's where the filter is really opening up on the pad. And so this portion is really where the pad takes over. The drums kind of get, what do you call it, muted. And then pad goes away. And then you come back to kick, bass, and then kick, bass, drums, hi-hat. So one more time, let's just listen from here.
Groove oriented. Feel oriented. Pattern oriented. Style of Indian drumming.
Okay, so that's that breakdown. So then, track continues, the pad eventually comes back, and then we come to this breakdown over here. So same thing, I'll just play a little bit before the breakdown so you get an idea of what's going on.
It's a groove in. style of Indian drumming.
Alright, so there was clearly a lot more stuff happening in that breakdown. So let's go through it. So this is kind of a little bit different here, where before the breakdown's kind of similar to the other one, where you have, you know, all your the hats, kick, bass line, clap, all that stuff. But then instead of keeping the hats, we have no hats, no clap, and it's just kick and bass. So we're just reversing it a little bit. So this one kind of deconstructs the beat a little quicker. Let's just play it from here again. You know, and the kick cuts out just there to transition into this breakdown. So we have kick and bass. Pad is carrying right now. Vocal comes in, the clap comes in, a little bit of these rim shots. And let me just say, like, so, you know, because the kick and the bass is still in the track at this point, there's still actually a decent amount of energy happening. It's the groove on the dance floor is still being maintained. So that's pretty important. You don't want to take the kick and the bass out for too long or have any lulls. You want the breakdowns to not lose too much energy, or else it's gonna just kind of suck the vibe out of the dance floor. So here, that's why I'm maintaining the kick and the bass still, even though the drums aren't really playing.
It's a groove oriented. Feel oriented.
So yeah, for this 8 bars, it's like the pad and the drums and the clap carrying it, and that vocal.
Pattern oriented style of Indian drumming.
So this section, I start playing around with the kick in order to build up that tension, and again, not to lose too much energy in the track. So I really I do this on a lot of my tracks, where I go into this little breakbeat kind of pattern. So you still have some, you know, that bass hitting you in the chest, but it's just a little, just kind of mixing it up by having the breakbeat instead of the 4 on the floor. And also the kick is more sparsely placed in this pattern, so it's, you know, the beat is being deconstructed.
Pattern-oriented style of Indian drumming.
Then the bass line cuts out, and then you get this other little low frequency sound. Right here, it goes into back to the 4 on the floor pattern, but it's kind of like how in the first breakdown, where it was just the your kick and the bass rather than everything coming together. Here it's kind of similar concept to that, except we have kick, and then we have like half the bass line, and we have these hats going in. So somewhat similar concept, where you're not bringing everything back in all at once. And this is building tension again for the full bass line and full drum or full hats to come back in. And you know, this is like the end of the track, so it's a little bit more chill, and it's like an outro kind of thing, outro drop. And of course, same thing here, the pad is just going wild in this breakdown to fill in that space. It's just, that's where the pad is mid-range. So the mid-range translates a lot of like emotion and feeling, and then, the bass and hats come back in, and that's what gives it the hype, the energy. So that was my breakdown of a breakdown. Hopefully this was helpful and gave you maybe some insights on how to keep that tension, adding that surprise element and just keeping things interesting. Also, I'm open to video suggestions, so if you want to see something, leave a comment below and I'll try to make a video on it. And by the way, of course, I'm a producer, so check out my music. I have stuff on SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Spotify, all that stuff. Links in the description below. And yeah, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Stay creative, my friends. Peace.
I'm calm, steady, slept well.